Facebook friends. This is like weird. Sorry. Have to fix it. Anyway, hi.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Both of us. Hi. It's been a weird day. Anyway, so maybe you saw in the title, it said, what makes a marriage successful? So we obviously are coming on here a little more often than usual, and we wanted to start sharing a little bit of our hearts and a lot of information about marriage and maybe some tips and things that could help others. So we were sitting down today talking about what we would talk about next. And one of the things I had asked us was like, why would anybody want to listen to us? That sounds terrible, but I mean it in a good way. And so it got me thinking like, well, one of the reasons is because we have a successful marriage. I feel that we have what would be called a successful marriage. And so we chatted a little bit about that, and I wanted to kind of come on and give my point of view on success, because I have like this really amazing quote that I share with people sometimes. And it's success. It's a definition of success. And I always have to read it because I forget how it goes. But success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And so from my point of view, that means that anybody is successful as long as they're working towards their goal, as long as they're working towards the thing that they are passionate about or they're convicted to do, as long as you're making forward momentum, you're successful. So as a stay-at-home mom, because y'all are awesome, you're so sweet, Kelsey, thank you. So if as a stay-at-home mom for years with no like, there's no like solid thing to be like, I'm a successful stay-at-home mom, really.
Yeah.
There's not. I mean, every now and then you get somebody who's like, oh, your kid was so awesome. And that's definitely like one of those moments where you're like, yes, success. But generally,
my kid's not a little brat.
Yeah, woohoo, one for the day. But generally speaking, when you're a stay-at-home mom, you don't really get you don't get a paycheck, you don't get a gold ribbon, you don't get anything like that. So, but if we think about it in the idea that you're working towards something that you're convicted to do, then you are successful. So that I feel like I'm pretty successful with what I do, because at least I'm moving forward and I'm always working and changing and growing. So anyway, can you tell us why our marriage is successful in your mind, or what that means to you?
I guess I want to share a little bit more on, why I'd like to
sure.
Spend time doing this. Is, we've been married for 19 years now, and almost 19. What? It was close enough, right? You're eating up good airtime, trying to correct me every time. But over the years, we've had friends and coworkers and people that we've known get divorced, and we've watched different things come into their lives and cause this divorce. Some that were married for shorter period of time, some that were married for 12 years, and others married for 17, 18 years, and so the fact that we're still together, we're very happy, and we feel like we have a successful marriage. It's becoming more of a burden for me anyway, especially as someone who's spent time as a pastor, to try and help people have a successful marriage, because God said, it's not good for man to be alone. And so I know I would be miserable to be alone. And so that's kind of my basis behind why I've, want to do what I can to help people have a better marriage if they're struggling. As far as the idea of what a successful marriage is, for each couple is going to be a little bit different based on your goals, but I think the big thing is that each person's needs are being met. Women's needs are different than men's needs, and so just as as long as there's mutual love and respect for one another, there's no bitterness. We've seen couples have issues in their marriage, and one is embittered towards the other, and it's a terrible relationship to have with someone that you're wanting to spend the rest of your life with. And so having those things is important to a successful marriage, and obviously just those common goals. And I think we wrote down 5 things that we feel are important to a successful marriage, and we want to
or at least it's been important to our marriage, successful for our marriage.
Yeah. And I think we're not going to get too terribly specific, but at least touch on why it's been successful for us, and hopefully that can be something that you can glean some information from. And so we're going to do, I think, a series, right?
Yeah, we'll just keep talking as long as people are interested. If you're not, don't have to tune in. You can just tell us to be quiet and we'll stop. But I think so far we're getting a lot of feedback, some on the back, in messages and stuff, that people enjoy seeing us talk. So for now, we'll just keep going and try to be beneficial to others. So we did sit down. So we talk about this stuff before we come on here, get an idea of what we want to share. And so we thought actually for the past week, over a week, about why we feel our marriage is successful. And we came up with a couple different things that we feel are the most important to our marriage. And we think they're pretty important to most marriages. But then number one is
Christ. Yeah. No, we'll spend some time on it. And I know not everybody who's probably going to watch this might be as strong in their faith or even lean towards Christianity. And so we're not going to get too preachy on those things, but we're going to explain the basis of how Christianity and a Christ-centered life has been very helpful for us. And I think there are things that you can glean from it, even if that's not something that you're as strongly convicted of as we are. So.
And Christ was always there, like, I feel like since the beginning of our, we mentioned last week when we talked about when we first met, like, first day we met, he went to church with me. So even if he wasn't baptized and he wasn't as strong in your faith at the time as I was, it was still a part of our relationship because you went with me like every single week that you could. So it was still there. But okay. And then our second thing we want to talk about.
Communication.
What?
That's a no-brainer right there, right? Communication. When people stop communicating, then expectations aren't expressed, and expectations that aren't expressed are never met. And then that's where that bitterness and things like that come into play. And so,
but how to communicate
that too
is a huge thing. So I was not a very good communicator when we were first married. I was a yeller. Surprise. And so I would yell a lot and I would want to fight, and he's not a fighter nor a yeller. So he's really helped me. So anyway, I think how to communicate, because you can communicate in really bad ways.
Oh yeah. Toxic and unproductive ways. Yeah.
Over here. Okay. And the next thing that we find is really important to us is finances. And you'll see that I talk a lot about finances without Josh. So we'll touch a little bit on it together, but like finances are so important. And we've gone, we've been flat out broke, poor.
Tens of thousands of dollars in debt multiple times.
Yeah, we've done it all.
I think we've learned our lesson by now.
We have. But we've always done it together.
Broke together?
Yeah, so anyway, we'll talk about finances.
Remember in the vows for richer or for poor, right?
There we go.
Yeah,
good job. Okay, and then next.
Of course, the two biggest things that couples fight about is money and, we'll say, intimacy. So
intimacy.
I think Facebook still is a family.
Well, I don't have any kids on my feed, but we won't get in.
Right, no.
I'm not going to embarrass anybody or ourselves.
But intimacy kind of falls in line with back to the, each person's needs being met. When you talk about intimacy, it's going to be different for a woman than it is for a man, just because of, God made us different. Yes.
Yeah. And then the last thing we kind of wrote down, which is, I think, become more important to us as we've gotten older, which would be like goals and goal setting. I love you too, Sarah Jane. Goal setting. I think, but no matter what though, we always had something to look forward to. Even when we were younger, we would know what the next step was. Yeah. Like we knew we were moving from San Diego to Bozeman, and that was a goal, and then we knew we were building our home. That was a goal. We've always had things that we've done together. So even though we have our own hobbies, I like playing games. He likes shooting guns and stuff. We have our own things, but there are certain things.
Common goals.
Yeah, we are a team on. We have goals, and I feel like running for them together is a super important thing. We bond over it.
Well, it helps dictate our future together.
Yeah.
And so the future of our marriage and the future of our children, because, it's a lifelong relationship. And so if you don't have goals set in front of you, you just stay stagnant. And, that's when your relationships become stagnant. So.
Yeah, that's how we feel. So anyway, we've reached our 10-minute mark. We're trying to keep everything at like 10 to 15 minutes. So just to like summarize, we are super excited to talk to you over the next few months, and we're gonna help you understand why our marriage is so successful and what we want to share with you via our 5 like major topics, which will be Christ, communication, finances, intimacy, and goal setting. So if you do have any questions or thoughts, feel free to reach out and ask me, and we can address them. But in the meantime, we hope you enjoy, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Good night.